Hi and welcome to Bread Baking 101. If you've never baked or if you've tried and failed, this series is for you. Everyone who bakes loves to tell people who doesn't bake how easy it is to bake, and of course if you never baked before, it's not easy at all. But I will make it easy for you. Without further delay, let's look at what we got. We got 885 grams of ordinary plain wheat flour, got 615 grams, again, of water, 20 grams of salt, and one packet of instant dry yeast. Now you could bang all of this into the machine, but I've got a little trick that I'm going to show you in just a second. So in goes the flour. Most of the water I'm gonna withhold just about this much. Dump that in with the yeast. You don't have to do this step. I'm just gonna mix the yeast out so it mixes easier into the dough afterwards. Because first thing we're going to do is something that pro bakers call Autolyse. But all you have to know is that it lets the water and the flour start to develop a strong gluten network. So for that first phase, this is what you're looking for. It doesn't really look like it though, and it isn't, but it will let the water and the flour get to know each other real well. So I'm just going to leave that there for 30 to 40 minutes. As I said, you can omit this part of the process, but it will give you better bread. The flour and the water has been making love to one another without any interference on my behalf. And as you can see, it's not that much of a shaggy mess anymore. It's starting to come together. And that's the whole point of that little process there. Now we're going to start by adding the rest of the ingredients. In goes the yeast. Make sure to get everything of that into the bowl, followed by the salt. Like so. I'm going to mix that for 5 minutes on slow speed. If you start up at too high speed, you're just going to tear your dough apart. So today we are making the plainest dough imaginable. It's just got 4 ingredients. You can use it for just about everything. You can use it for bread, rolls, pizzas. You can even use it for an easy peasy focaccia. And we get back to all of those things further down the line in the series. But today we're going to focus on the easy stuff. I'll be spicing it up with some tips and tricks. The first one you've already seen. We'll hold the salt and the yeast for a while, which will give you a better bread. And I promise that if you follow these steps in this video, you'll end up with something that will look and taste like it came from that really nice bakery around the corner. The dough has been bouncing around in the machine for about 5 minutes, and here's a mistake many people do. So I'll show you why. If I take the dough like this, it starts to tear when I pull it. It means the gluten hasn't developed properly, and the gluten is what is going to trap the gases inside of the dough and give you a nice airy crumb, which is what you want. So we are going to continue kneading at a high speed, and I highly recommend you that you actually stay with the machine so you can check the dough every few minutes. The dough has had another 3 minutes in the machine, and as you can see, it's starting to let go of the bowl and cling to the hook, which is a very good sign. And I'm just going to do another test. I know this isn't done yet, but just to show you. So you see, it is extendable. I can't pull it out enough yet. It tears like this, And you can see that the structure, it isn't entirely smooth, which is what we're sort of aiming for. As you can see, the dough is now starting to look very smooth. It's hardly clinging to the bowl at all. I'm just gonna wet my hands again. The reason I wet my hands is that the dough just won't stick to them as much. Yeah, this feels quite nice. I can stretch it quite away before it tears. Partially that has to do with the gluten being a bit stressed. I'm going to give it 3 more minutes here, and then it's time to let the dough rise, or bulk ferment, as bakers call it. Dough is finished kneading in the machine. All in all, that took about 18 minutes, give or take. It's nice and stretchy now. I can stretch it out thin enough so I can actually see light coming through there. That's called the window pane test. And that is what you are looking for. Now, the dough is going to be rising in this temperature, I think somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. And we'll get back to that one then. A few words about kitchen machines. All different brands are different. So when I said that the dough took about 18 minutes to knead today, that might take longer or shorter time with your machine. Not everyone has a machine, and I'll be making a video very shortly, and I'll be showing you 2 different techniques with hand kneading the dough. Dough has been rising for just about an hour. I'm very curious to see what we got. Are you? The dough has more than doubled in about an hour's time. Time to get it out onto the counter. Just gonna sprinkle very lightly with flour. There's some flour goes there. As you can see, nice and airy this. Hardly sticky. Now, rising times do depend on temperature, both on the water and your ambient temperature. I don't like using water that's over, say, 23, 24 degrees centigrade, especially when I'm using a machine, because the machine kneading increases the temperature of the dough quite a bit. All I'm going to do is get this together, and then I'm going to divide it up into 2 loaves, and I'll show you where we go from there. As you can see, not much stickiness there. Just tiny more sprinkling of flour. Like so. Enter the trusted weight. So we're going to have 2 loaves of just about 750 grams each. Yeah, that's close enough. What I'm going to do is something called pre-shaping. That will reorganize the gluten and tighten it up, make for a better rise in the end. You do that by taking your hands into V like this, turning it around. You can use your bench scraper if you like. You don't really have to in this case. So once again, you just pull it towards you, turn it towards you, turn it, and you see the dough is tightening up, not sticky at all, as you can see. Now it has to rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. And the reason for that is that we've sort of like stressed the gluten, so it's like your shoulders. You get tight when you stress, yes, and then you can't really move about really. And same thing goes for the dough. So now we want the dough to get nice and relaxed, like after you've had a massage. And then we're going to do the final shaping. So while the dough is resting, I thought I'd go through a few little tricks. First, if you want to have consistent results, get yourself a cheap electronic scale. It doesn't matter if it's not all that accurate, because the ratios between the ingredients that you are weighing will stay the same. And it's the ratios after all that is important when you're baking. Thing is, if you use one of this, you can be off with quite a lot and making your dough either too wet and thus harder to handle, or too dry and not giving you a nice end result when it comes to the crumb. You can of course use bread tins, use some baking parchment and dump the dough in. It's easier to get it out. One thing that is nice to have is a really good book on baking. Buy one from a renowned bakery or a renowned baker, where all the recipes will most probably be metric because it's more accurate than imperial. It just is. While the dough is having a rest, I'm going to take this baking parchment and oil it. As you can see, it's very, very long. There's a reason for that, which we will get around to after we've shaped the breads, and I'll of course show you. Right, time for the final shaping. Now, you can see I've got next to nothing flour on the bench here. Don't need it. You want the nice surface down. Gently stretch out the dough. Bring it 1/3 in. Bring in the ears. Bring it into the middle. Give that a firm press, so that will sort of form like the spine of the bread, and giving it strength to rise upwards. So you go in with the ears again, in from the other side. Let's do the ears one more time. You just flip it over, you close it like so. We'll put that there. One more time. And don't worry if you get this wrong. If you just let the dough rest for another 10-15 minutes, you can start all over again. So in 1/3, get the ears in to the middle, nice press down, get the ears in once again, and we can do that one more time, and close it, like so. I'm going to put that there for just a few seconds. Now, the reason for the extra long parchment is that we need to sort of give this bread their own little spot to lie in while they do the final rise. And we don't want them to cling together, so you do it like so. Get that second loaf in, right there. We're going to give that a generous sprinkling of flour. We've got more than enough on our bench right now. You can always take a brush like this and brush out off the excess before it goes into the oven. Now what I like to do is to get a cutting board or something, like so, just to We prop the breads up so they don't spread out too much, really. Okay, now we're going to leave those to, once again, about double in volume. A neat little trick here is because gauging when the bread has actually doubled can be a tricky little thing. So if you get your mobile telephone, take a picture of the loaf, come back to it after, say, 40 minutes, have a look at your phone, have a look at the bread. If it looks like it's doubled in volume, we're good to go. And of course, then it's scoring the dough. It's something you don't have to do, but if you do it right, it will give you a 10 to 15% bigger oven spring. You could use one of these, serrated knife, oil it up, or you can make one of these. It's called a lamb. It's a baker's tool. It's just, I made this in less than 5 minutes. It's just a chopstick and a razor blade. Very easy and very efficient. Right, so the bread has been proofing for an hour after shaping. As you can see, they have risen nicely. I'm just gonna pull this apart, give it a space, and we are going to score them. Now, of course, the excess baking portion I'm going to cut off. Don't want that to accidentally catch fire. That would cause some heart attacks in the neighborhood. I'll brush off some of this flour. Now to the scoring. That is something that I get wrong from time to time, and I've done this God knows how many thousands of times. Now I like to have the bread parallel to me when I score. I think it's easier like that. And what you want to do is, you don't want to score straight down, because what will happen then is the bread will just open up like so, and all the dough will be exposed to the heat at the same time, and that will hinder your oven spring. So what you want to do is to sort of go in at a very shallow angle, and then as the bread rises, it will grow like this, exposing a little of uncooked dough at the time, and that way giving the bread a longer time to rise in the oven. Yeah, let's get on with it. Put it one like that. The other one we're just going to do long slits at the side here. Like so. Now let's get these babies into the oven. We're going to chuck some water in this tray that I have at the top. I'll explain about that. Wait a second. So we got the bread in the oven. They are going to bake for something like 35, maybe 40 minutes. You just have to wait and see. They are in there at 240 degrees Celsius. As you saw, I put the water in the top tray. Now, the reason for that is that you want to create steam, and the steam will allow or hinder rather the crust to form too early, and thus giving you a larger bread, because it's going to prolong the rise in the oven. Now, once the water has evaporated, the tray at the top is going to act like a sort of a shield, so it won't get too much direct heat from the top elements, and it will also spread the heat more evenly out over the bread, and in that way giving you a better bake. Now, many people say that you should have a vessel of some sort. in the bottom of the oven for creating the steam, and I think that is nonsense, because it will cool down the tray or your baking stone or your pizza stone or whatever, and it will actually hinder the bread to get a good solid foot, one could say. In about 5 minutes or so from now, I'm going to let the excess steam out of the oven, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. Okay, so the bread has been in the oven for just under 40 minutes. Time to have a look at what we got. I feel excited, like a kid on Christmas Eve, and it's like that every time I bake. So let's have a look. Oh, that's looking promising. Let's get those out. Roll in the bench. Oh, look at those absolute beauties. With rustic parchment. I did promise you that if you follow the steps in the recipe, you get something that any bakery would be proud of. Yeah, I'm gonna brush up some of that excess flour in a minute. This is pure torture for me. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this. The smell coming off this bread is absolutely insane. So I'm gonna let them cool off, and I'm gonna cut one open, and we'll see how the inside looks. The bread has been cooling down till room temperature. Time to cut into one of these babies. Look at that, gorgeous. It's very excited about the inside and not the crumb. That does look nice, doesn't it?